Hey everybody! So for this week's vlog episode, I wanted to talk about something that I actually talk about quite a bit outside of the vlog, just in everyday life, talking about the cannabis industry and marijuana in general. And that thing, or person rather, is Donald Trump. If you are unfamiliar with Donald Trump and his relationship to cannabis and marijuana, it's probably because it's not very well known. He, throughout his campaign, had mixed messages on his stance on marijuana, sometimes differentiating between medical use and recreational use, other times not. Sometimes he appears to be in favor of it, other times not. And for this reason, he has cast a pretty big shadow of doubt over the industry. And for that reason, a lot of people are worried, and rightfully so. There's businesses that have been growing, since 1996 in California, when medical marijuana first became legal there, all the way up, and now it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. There are hundreds of thousands of people who rely on marijuana as an income source, and even more that rely on it as medicine. So in today's vlog episode, I'm going to talk about my top 5 reasons why Donald Trump is going to leave state legal cannabis programs alone. Reason number 1 why Donald Trump will not interfere with legal marijuana in the United States. Public opinion. Marijuana was first illegalized in 1937. Up until today, a public opinion of marijuana has steadily increased. People have just started to realize that it really doesn't pose as big of a threat as we once might have thought it did. And they're also starting to see that not only is it not a threat, it can actually be beneficial to quite a lot of people. Most recent statistics show that 60% of Americans favor some sort of marijuana legalization. That is a huge, huge number for a country that generally is very partisan and split down the middle, 50-50 on a lot of issues. There's just the mere fact that 60% of this country is in favor of some sort of marijuana legalization makes me think that Donald Trump would have to have a very good reason to attack these state legal programs, or at least interfere with them. Reason number 2, taxes. So if you've done a little bit of research into marijuana legislation and how these programs work in each state, a big part of the way that we actually got these laws passed is by requiring that marijuana be taxed pretty heavily when it's sold in a retail setting. In Colorado, marijuana gets taxed at 12.9% at the counter when you buy, as a consumer, when you buy any product, you pay 12.9% tax on that. And then additionally, on wholesale, there's a 15% excise tax on that sale. The state now, solely from this industry, has $200 million more to spend. And to add to that, in states like Colorado, and others are following suit here, most of that money is getting earmarked and allocated to go towards the educational programs for the state. And this is really big for a lot of the states, especially like my home state, Nevada. We followed suit with with Colorado, and almost all of the tax revenue derived from legal marijuana sales will be directed to the public school system. And it's really big for Nevada because we consistently rank in like the bottom 4 states for education. We need a lot of help with that. So this could potentially revolutionize our state's education program and get us back competing with other states around. So reason number 2, Donald Trump's going to leave marijuana alone. There's a ton of state tax revenue being generated, and states, once they get a hold of that, are going to have a really hard time giving it up again. Reason number 3, Donald Trump is not going to mess with state legal marijuana. Number 2 was taxes on the state level. Number 3, and this is my favorite one, federal taxes. So as you probably know, the federal government still lists marijuana as a Schedule 1 controlled substance. I mean, it's the most illegal you can get. Thanks to a little piece of tax code left over from the 1970s called IRS Rule 280E, You can look it up if you want to know more. It's really interesting, but it's kind of dry. It's tax code. But basically, the short version is IRS code 280E states that even if your business is deemed illegal by the federal government, doesn't matter if it's selling drugs or taking bribes or illegal imports or exports, whatever, if you make income in an illegal matter, 280E says that you still owe federal income tax on that revenue. And on top of that, the thing that 280E adds to just kind of kick you while you're down is that 280E does not allow illegal businesses, such as the marijuana businesses, to take standard tax deductions. So what this means for cannabis businesses is that they end up paying a huge and obscene amount of tax a lot of the time, especially retail stores. Some of these stores can pay up to 70% of their total revenues to the federal government. Last year alone, in 2016, the cannabis industry generated $6.7 billion in total revenues. And all of the businesses that combined to make that $6.7 billion are paying federal income tax in the range of 30, 40, 50, 60, even 70% of that is going to the federal government. So not only is the federal government disallowing this, but they are also reaping huge benefits from this industry. So you can see that there's actually a big incentive for the federal government to keep marijuana illegal. So, reason number 3 why Donald Trump will not mess with state legal marijuana: he's making a ton of money off of it, and he doesn't even have to endorse it. We just keep doing our illegal business out here, and the federal government gets paid. Reason number 4 is jobs. In any election, whether it's for city council or for president of the United States, jobs are a huge focal point of any campaign. And this was huge, as you know, in this most recent election. Donald Trump vowed to bring jobs back to the United States. Last year, in 2016 alone, the cannabis industry generated 123,000 jobs, conservatively. And that was just, in the 28 states plus DC that have some sort of legal cannabis. Simply by letting state legal cannabis continue to grow, without even endorsing it, simply by letting it grow and continue on its merry way, we're gonna keep creating jobs, and he ultimately is gonna get credit for that. Okay, and that brings us to our 5th and final reason why Donald Trump is gonna leave state legal cannabis alone. And this one's not quite as specific, and it's a little bit more conjecture on my part. But in short, in my opinion, Donald Trump has so many other things that he needs to worry about. And he's got so much on his plate that messing with an issue that 60% of the country agrees with is just not going to be worth his time or effort. The caveat here that a lot of people will point out is that while he may not have time to mess with state legal marijuana, the Department of Justice very well might. More specifically, Jeff Sessions, the acting attorney general. Jeff Sessions is a kind of a whole separate issue that I'd like to tackle in a different video, but my basic thought is that if you take our first 4 points, those are huge 4 reasons why Donald Trump's not going to mess with state legal marijuana. It's approval ratings, tax revenue both on the state and federal level, and job creation. Those 4 things alone can do wonders for him as far as public opinion and increasing his chances to win a second term, that I would be hard-pressed to believe that he would let Jeff Sessions jeopardize any of those things simply because he doesn't understand legal cannabis and what it could do for this country. So at the end of the day, Jeff Sessions works for Donald Trump, and Donald Trump values loyalty. So if Trump expresses even behind closed doors that he doesn't want Sessions messing with legal marijuana, I don't think he's gonna do it. That he will turn a blind eye to it, let the states continue to do their thing, and we'll continue on our merry way. So I'm not worried. If you were worried or you have any contradictions or counter arguments to any of the points that I've made. I would really love to hear them. Shoot us an email. We can put my email here, or you can put it in the comments section. Anything, please reach out to us. We'd love to hear your thoughts on Donald Trump, marijuana, politics, pretty much anything relating to cannabis.